So the God of the Bible is a God who is relational. Secondly, he's a God who can be known. He's a God who reveals himself and can be known. Now, here's the interesting thing. I don't know if you've noticed this, but it's only possible to have a relationship with somebody if they make themselves known. Have you ever thought about this? If you were to walk out of here this evening, if you've come on your own this evening, if you're single, if you're married, this thought experiment, don't engage in it, there'll be trouble. You walk out of here this evening, you're on your own, you're single, and you see across the hallway as you walk out of here a person of the opposite sex, and you look at them and you think, my word, what a wonderful specimen of humanity. They're very attractive, they're very handsome, a bit like me, very kind of thank you, one person, and you think to yourself, I'd love to get to know that person. Maybe go for a coffee or a date or something. There's definitely chemistry. And you make a few inquiries, you find out who their friends are, and you stalk them on Facebook. That's how dating happens, I understand, in the modern world. And anyway, and it turns out there's a bit of a problem. The person that you are attracted to, the person who has kind of captured your imagination, is a basically quite nervous person. They only ever come out of their room, their apartment, maybe once or twice a year for an event like this, or maybe to, I don't know, go to the doctors or something. The rest of the time, they just hide away in their room and they, order everything they need on Uber Eats and never set foot outside. And so, apart from, of course, when they attend meetings with the local Agoraphobics Anonymous Society, problem is that's a closed-door meeting, and that's a quality joke. Thank you very much. I'm here all week, and. So the problem is this, though. You can't get to know them, can you? Because they've hidden themselves away. You couldn't have a relationship with that person because they haven't made themselves known. They've hidden themselves. In order to have a relationship, the person that you want to relate to has to be willing to make themselves known. And this is interesting. This doesn't just apply to human beings. That applies to God. If God were to hide himself away in heaven, not reveal himself, just give us brief clues to what he's like, no form of relationship would be possible with him. And here's the thing that fascinates me. From the beginning to the end, the Bible tells the story of a God who reveals himself, who wants us to know him, a God who can be known. The God of the Bible doesn't just reveal his intentions, his will, and his commandments, but the God of the Bible also reveals his character, his heart, his very own self, his very identity. I alluded a few moments ago to the story of Moses and his kind of relationship with God. And one of the most famous stories in the life of Moses is that powerful encounter that Moses has at the burning bush, where God speaks to Moses personally. And what does God do? He reveals to Moses not just commands and instructions, but he reveals to Moses his very own name, Yahweh, which the rough English translation of that is the one who is, I am, the self-existent one. And ultimately, that biblical theme of God revealing himself and his identity, his very own self, runs right the way through the Bible and culminates perhaps most beautifully in in John's Gospel, there in the New Testament, chapter 14, verse 9, where Jesus looks at his followers, looks at his disciples, and says to them, anyone who has seen me, says Jesus, has seen God the Father. Well, not only does the God of the Bible reveal his name and his character, his very own self, because of that willingness of God to reveal himself, to be known like that, he can ask us to reciprocate and to know him. And so in a passage like Jeremiah 9, verses 23 and 24, there at the heart of the Old Testament, we read this incredible verse of the Bible where it says, let not the wise boast of their wisdom, nor the strong boast of their strength, nor the rich boast of their riches, but let the one who boasts boast in this, that they understand and know me, says God. The God of the Bible is a God who reveals himself and asks us, invites human beings into a relationship where they might know him, not just know about him, but know him. Now, what about Quranic theology? What about what the Qur'an says about Allah, about God? Do we see anything similar? Well, no. Once again, we see that the Qur'an's understanding of God is significantly different, at least on this issue, to the biblical understanding. The God of the Qur'an is not a God who can be known personally. Nowhere is that offer, that invitation to know a God in a relational term ever extended. God in the Qur'an does not reveal himself. He reveals his commands, yes. He reveals his instructions and his will, yes, on page after page. But he does not reveal himself and his very own heart. It's interesting to note that in Islamic theology, Muhammad, to whom the Qur'an, according to Islamic understanding, to whom the Qur'an was revealed over 23 years from AD 610 to AD 632, Muhammad never has God speak to him personally and reveal the Qur'an. It's the angel Gabriel who in the Islamic understanding comes down and gives the Qur'an to Muhammad over that 23-year period. God is at a distance. God is up there in heaven, human beings are down here on earth, and never the twain shall meet. Again, the Qur'an retells biblical stories on frequent occasions, and the story of Moses and the burning bush is there in the Qur'an. But the Qur'an has changed the story. And God does not reveal his personal name to Moses, does not speak to Moses face to face like a man speaks with his friend. That has all been changed and all been rewritten in the Quran's understanding of that story. Profound difference. Now again, don't just take my word for this. Let me quote to you a very well-known Muslim scholar of the Quran, a gentleman called Isma'il al-furuqi. And he wrote this a few years ago. He said, Allah does not reveal himself to anyone in any way. Allah reveals only his will. Allah does not reveal himself to anyone. That is the great difference between Islam and Christianity. And I found that I love that quotation because it's so honest and it's so direct and it sums it up almost better than I could. That is the great difference between Islam and Christianity. I acknowledge that as a Christian, and Ismail acknowledges it as a Muslim.